Hello, this is Cliff Brock with World Travel Plus. We search out the places that the travel brochures and the travel agents don't tell you about so you don't have to. Join us today to see where we've wandered next.
Today, we're in Crotone, Italy. Founded in 510 BC, the city has a population today of about 64,000. But when it was founded 2,000 years ago, the population was between 50,000 and 80,000. So this was really a center of activity in this part of the Ionian Sea. The city has been known for 2,000 years for its Olympic athletes. Athleticism in this part of the world has been a bystone of what happens. Greek philosopher Pythagoras established himself in the city about 530 BCE. And he surrounded himself with 300 disciples who were really pretty sympathetic toward the aristocratic government. But 20 years later, Crotone was strong enough for its people to defeat the Sybarites, and they razed their city to the ground. Some of the smaller cities were allied to Crotone, and not long after the sack of Sybaris, Pythagoras and his disciples were driven out. Democracy was established in Crotone. Today, the city is an agricultural center and provides a good industrial base in zinc and some other areas. It is not a high tourist frequency. It doesn't have the historic landmarks and so forth to do so. A must-see in the city is the castle of Charles V. It's also known as the Crotone Castle. It's a fortress located in the city. By the way, Crotone is in Calabria. It was built in 840 AD on the ancient Greek settlement, and it was designed to defend the city against foreign invasion. It's unique in its kind because it highlights the historical development of military architecture from the towers. They're called pouncing defense towers, and all the way to the grazing defense ramparts. It's also the only example of a castle perched not on the top of a hill for defensive purposes, but around a hill, and that it embraces and it contains the entire hill. The castle has a polygonal plant and two towers, a more massive one called the Tower of the Adjutant, and another called the Tower of the Commander. The first was used as a residence of the officers, while the second was a great place of observations. It was armed with 4 cannons. They stood inside the castle in the highest part, the central part, and the castle has undergone major repair works in the past, which took about a century, that somewhat modified its looks. Today, it houses a civic museum of archaeological interest. And it offers some great views from the ramparts. Both out over the city, you can watch the people in the streets going about their daily tasks, and out over the sea with the deep, deep blues we came so much to expect. One of the best reasons to visit Crotone is that it's in the Arch, in the far southern part of Italy. It's really not on the way to anywhere. It just is kind of a little jewel sitting on the Ionian Sea. But it has great vistas, great beaches, and it certainly would be worth a visit. When we learned that Pythagoras was born here and had a group of disciples and lived and worked in this city for many years, we had to find out more. What we discovered was that there is a Pythagoras High School, and so we headed that way. You couldn't be this close to where Pythagoras in the Pythagoras Square had a high school. It's built right across the street from the square where Pythagoras open air had his school. So we headed over there and found the square and found the school and found more than we thought we might. Found 4 delightful young people sitting there enjoying a break, students at Pythagoras High School, and we talked with them, the 4 of them. They are quite a group. That would be Francesco, Pietro, Antonio, and Fabira. They were really a neat group of kids. always curious about the United States. They ask us, what's it like there? And on they ask their questions. One of our highlights in our visit to the city. But as we often do, always do actually, we had to take our leave from the kids and we really wanted to get to the market. We almost always try to make it to the market in local towns, and so we headed that way. We asked directions a couple of times and found these two delightful ladies who couldn't get us to understand, and they kind of waved at us and walked us to the market. This old gentleman guided us the rest of the way in, and we spent a delightful hour just looking at the vegetables and the fruits. The Europeans really go out of their way many times to make delightful displays of their fruits and vegetables. When I was an exchange student in Germany many, many years ago, the mother in the family, Mutti, would go every day with her mesh bag to the market to get vegetables, to get some fish or meat, and to get some bread. And that's how Europeans in those days lived. Not much different today. I'm not sure everybody goes every day. Refrigerators certainly are much, much bigger. Moody had a little dorm refrigerator for 6 or 7 in the family. But this was a delightful way to spend an hour just walking and looking and smiling, and periodically being offered a taste of a plum or a cherry or something that was quite good. It is one that we like to do whenever we travel. A visit to the market in most European cities is much like a big box visit to a large grocery store in the United States. You can get fruits, vegetables, meats, the separate fish market. This one was particularly delightful. My goodness, the cauliflower. He's quite proud of his cauliflower, and he also likes very much his broccoli. These are huge, and I was quick to tell him it's not like that in the U.S. One consistency we find in Europe that we don't find in the U.S. is the fish markets. There just seems in every small town, village, and even in the big cities, a great fish market where you can find a wide variety of very, very fresh seafood. We don't see that so much in the U.S. We tend to be more industrialized, urbanized, and prepackaged. Well, that's our look at Crotone, Italy today. I hope you've enjoyed going with us on this trip. Come back frequently and check again as we visit more corners of the world. I'm Cliff Brock.